Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day that you've given all of us, Lord. Help us to become one in your grace, Lord, that we can just do the business of the county properly, Lord. We ask all this in Jesus' name, and forgive us when we fail thee. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at 10 o'clock, we have impact media proposal.
Let's get our technical difficulties worked out
I
here.
mute myself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can they unmute now?
Yes.
They're appearing. All right, I think we're ready for people from Impact Media Proposal. We have a copy of the proposal on the agenda, and are we out there on Zoom land?
We are here. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so would you like for me to just go ahead and go through it, or anything to add before?
If you could introduce yourself for the record and just go over what we have, what you've talked to the committee about, and what your proposal entails.
Certainly. So my name is Luke Nestler. I am the co-founder and CEO of Impact Media. We're a digital marketing agency located in Morgantown, originally from Bridgeport. My parents still live in Bridgeport. I have Chelsea Helen, who's also sitting in as well. She's one of our account executives, and she's been part of the process as far as putting this together. So she can also chime in if I have any thing for her to elaborate on. Somebody that's not present but played a big role in helping us put this together and met with Mike Pizzino was our senior web developer. His name's Mike Hudgens. He developed the scope of work with your all's Mike. So I'm just going to present this to you all today. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Essentially, the way our process works is we get a scope of work developed with somebody from your team. In this case, it was Mike Pizzino, to make sure that we've got everything that you're requesting into the proposal. And essentially that scope of work breaks down to milestones and elements that we would need. Essentially, the project would start when we receive a flash drive or full download of the current site so that we can take what we need as a starting place. The request has been up to 40 unique web pages, up to 10 dynamic web pages. The website would be directly hosted on the Harrison County Commission server as per your request. For easy editing on the client side going forward, it's going to be a WordPress website. That's going to be the best solution for you to go in and be able to manage this on your all's own and not have to come to us. If it were a custom coded website solution, you would have to continue to use us in the future, which we all want to avoid that from being the case. So if there are any changes as far as the scope of work after today's meeting or before the signing, we can certainly add that in. Once the agreement would be signed, if there's any other requests that are outside of the current scope of work, we would give you a quote and an estimate on what that would be to add that on. We like to have things broken down in the milestones because I think one of the biggest issues with web development is they seem to always turn into a never-ending story, and we don't like that narrative. So we try to get them done as quickly as we can without compromising any type of quality. So the way we do that is milestones. So our first milestone that Mike Hudgens and Mike Pizzino had established would be completed by May 1 of 2021. That's the first completed draft that's going to be sent to you all, including pages and products from the initial build. By June 1, you all will have given us feedback and we will have completed any adjustments or any feedback given to us. And our goal is for the website to be launched at that point, and then essentially to be completed by you guys by March 1st. We would need a flash drive or digital download of all pages. We would need access to some servers, any new content that needs to go on the website. We would need all that stuff prior to that. This is listed in there, and I'll read this, and if you guys have questions, I'm happy to go back through and address that. Feedback is due from the client within 48 business hours of receiving a draft or message. Each day after this mark, the website deadline will be set back 1 day. Our rule of thumb is if a client disappears for more than 45 days without responding in Basecamp, which is our client communication portal, or phone calls. So if you guys fall off the face of the earth, we do reserve the right to end the relationship without refunds or payments or anything like that. And that's simply because we've had issues in the past to where a client gets busy. And this is usually on the case of a small business, not when there's as many people involved as we have here, but they'll go MIA for 3 years and then they'll come back and say, hey, can we complete that? Well, at that point, our rates have changed. There's been a lot of changes. So we do set the 45-day. That's not going to be the case, but we do put it in there just to be safe. Additions to the scope of work after signing the document will have an impact on cost. We give the lowest estimate we can based on the scope of work that we presented. Therefore, we must be diligent about collecting increases in the scope of work. So just make sure before signing, if you do decide to move forward with it, that this document, this agreement includes everything that you guys want. If there are any additional things that you would like to include, let's just make sure we get it in there before so that we don't have to go back to the drawing board and quote something else at the end of the day. So our goal for this is to move as quickly as we can. And if we're able to get feedback when we need it, get the assets that we need on time, we feel that we can have this done 3 months from the start date that was established of March 1st, 2021. So we're going to try to do it as quickly as we can without obviously sacrificing quality. A 90-day turnaround is a pretty good turnaround time given the volume of work and pages that need to be in. The total cost for that, the investment would be $10,000, something that's not included in the page that you guys have that I have added. I can send this over to Jessica so you have an updated version, is the payment schedule. We certainly don't expect to be paid in full before the project is done. So the way that we do this, and this would be in the agreement portion, is 50% is due upon signing, 25% is due 30 days later. The final 25% is due upon completion, but prior to launch. So once you guys say, hey, it looks great, the final 25% would be due. And then and then once that is paid, then the website would officially go live. And then we're just there as a support team after that. You don't have to continue to pay us to manage it. Or anything like that. If there's anything that Mike or anybody else on the team would need, certainly come to us and we can be there as needed, but we would not be on any type of a retainer or anything like that. We simply build the website that would be a self-sufficient website for you all to continue to manage moving forward. I'm happy to answer anybody.
I know Jessica and Mike Pizzino, I'll ask Jessica to just review the people from our end that were involved and go over anything she may have to add to the proposal at this point.
Certainly.
In the preliminary discussion with Luke and his team, we had Mike Pizzino was on the call. We had Charlie and Brian. Brian is here with IT. He and Mike Pizzino spoke the correct language, I think, that everybody needed to speak to see how we could incorporate Luke's team with a website redesign and with social media interactions. So Brian is here and Mike Pizzino is on the call. So do either of you gentlemen want to speak to the proposal and your thoughts? Mike, we'll start with you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Mike Pizzino, for the record. I was under the understanding we were going to do some social media stuff as well. Is this something that's going to come later?
Yeah, that's a great question. We certainly can, and it would be something that we would present you a proposal for, but prior to being able to launch any type of targeted social advertising, it was just established that your main priority was getting the website done, and then we certainly could move forward with a social media proposal separately as well.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really have anything on the proposal end. It's a proposal. Um, a website's a website. They're pretty simple. So, and I think the IT department can maintain that. I can maintain that. Whoever can maintain that pretty simply. That's probably all I have.
The only other question I have, my name is Brian, I'm with the IT department, is like our county clerk has their own website. The tax office has their own website. Will that be incorporated in with that, or just a link?
Yeah, to my understanding, and Mike, if you want to hop back in and elaborate on this, if I get any of this wrong, that's exactly how that would be included. So the Harrison County Commission's website would be its own standalone website, and then any of the other sites that are currently included on the current website that links out to those, it would be the same thing. So we would be linking to any of the other sites that you guys wish. Mike, if I got that wrong, please let me know, but that was my understanding as well.
No, the conversation, Brian, that I had with Impact was basically taking the existing site and redesigning it, making it mobile friendly. All the dynamic pages that are there now, they're aware of those. And it would basically be the same website, just a new design. In fact, we're even going to send them all the content if this gets approved. So they're just going to take our content and paste it in.
All right, and what platform is it? What language will it be in?
It'll be built on WordPress.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
So I have.
I mean, yes.
Luke, thank you. Mike, thank you. This is Patsy. I just want to tell you guys, I appreciate this today. But just to recap, so you guys know, all I asked for was a Facebook page. And I asked for a young lady that's already on staff to do it that I know is very good with social media. I'm not sure how we got to this point, because the one thing that was brought up wasn't even addressed today. You know, maybe at a later time, but at the same time, even if we do this at a later time, we have to put it out for everybody. And I just really, right now, I just want to get a social media page started with somebody in-house that doesn't cost us anything. And we post a picture of the commission, David and Susan, beside somebody doing a proclamation to the public. That's all. But thank you so much. And I'm sorry we put the cart before the horse. But again, let me reiterate, this started with I as a commissioner as one, and the other two will have their opinion today. I'd really just want a social media page, Facebook.
Sure. Let me speak to that a little bit and kind of clue everybody in on where the conversation went when I met initially with a few of the folks, Jessica and Mike and a few others. So what my company does beyond website design, as far as social media, we do targeted advertising. We don't necessarily do the posting for our clients. So, and I brought that up in the meeting of how we could help with the social media side, as far as if there's a message that you want to get out, an event that you want to get out, something that you want a large local audience to see, we certainly could help with a social media advertising strategy. But with that, it's a matter of, okay, when they see this content, they're going to be taken somewhere. And with those Facebook and Instagram posts that are turned into advertisements, they're going to be taken to a website. Well, then that's when the conversation turned to, hey, our current website really needs a facelift, an overhaul. It's not mobile friendly. All of these things that, 85 to 90% of traffic on Facebook is done so on a mobile device. So if you invest time, energy, or money into a social media campaign and you drive them to the current website, they're not really going to be able to navigate it very well on a mobile device. So that's when the conversation turned to, hey, I think we would be interested in redeveloping and designing this site. And essentially, we just wouldn't be comfortable pushing a large social media campaign for you with the current website until it was had a facelift just because the results aren't going to perform. It's not going to look as well, just because they're not going to be able to stick around on that site. So that's why I included, step one in our eyes was, hey, let's help them fix their website. And then step two, we can certainly help them with the social media advertising side of things. If you guys ultimately want to go a different direction, or you want to, do it in a different order, completely fine. But just to give you an idea why, Jessica had me present what we presented today, that was my understanding of it.
My personal thoughts are, I believe this can be done in-house. I think the website needs some redesigning done, and I think we have the capabilities here to do that. I know when I was county clerk, the girl in the office takes care of that and does a fine job on that page, I think. And she uses the same WordPress. I appreciate you going out, but I really think we can do it ourselves in-house.
Well,
Sure.
not your website, but I think that other people are in here were willing to speak up. It took me probably 2 or 3 weeks to figure out the voting results. I had to go over 50 errors instead of hitting voting results. Because to me, it's poorly laid out. You get
Well, thank you,
voting.
David, for your.
I'm just saying,
pointing that out.
you hit voting results and you don't go to voting results. I don't think anybody in this courthouse has a good.
Well, maybe we all need to sit down and we have links on the page and sit down and figure out what the problems are. I think it could be done in-house.
Let me quickly weigh in on that. And I think the only thing I would have to add as far as doing it in-house, certainly, I mean, it's a WordPress website. I'm not going to try and sell it as if it's, hey, we're the only people in the country that can build this. We're magical when it comes to building a WordPress site. It's not a matter of we're the people that can do it and nobody else can. I think the biggest thing is, Mike Pizzino's extremely intelligent with this stuff. Him and my senior web developer hit it off very much on the same page. Mike for sure could do this. I think the biggest thing is the reason we would be brought in is the 90-day timeline, or very close to that 90-day. We've done hundreds of websites. We've worked with thousands of clients over the past 7 years, especially when you're talking local government and the amount of time that you guys have spent on so many tasks. It would be nearly impossible for somebody to do this in 90 days because it's fully focused on that one project. That would really be our benefit, is trying to help speed that up for you guys. Could you do it in-house? Certainly. Could the design be comparable to what we would do quality-wise? Yeah, probably. I think you'd be looking at us as a way to speed the process up, allow us to focus solely on that project so you guys could focus on all the various other things that you have, and utilize us as, from that benefit. Ultimately, again, your guys' call. Chelsea and Mike and I are not going to be offended if you go a different direction. I just think that would be the way we could provide value.
Can Mike Pizzino throw something in?
Excuse me?
Mike Pizzino, can I throw something else in here? Over the spring, I redesigned our website for the commission. It's 95% done. If you guys want to see it, I can shoot you an email later. If you want to go that route, it can be done in a week.
Thanks, Mike.
So,
Anything else, Commissioners?
If Mike's gonna handle it, is it coming out of our side of his work or out of Rocky's side, or are we splitting it?
It would be following the commission side of the equation.
And it will be done as an employee and not as a contract.
That's what I would say.
Yes.
You good with that, Mike?
yeah, and in the event, right now, the current website, I built that like 10, 12 years ago. Brian maintains that. Brian can also maintain the new one. I can maintain the new one. The IT department's familiar with the code already. So it's just a spruce up of what you currently have. no different than what Luke was gonna do. It's mobile friendly and the code's basically the same.
Well, Mr. Nessler, I appreciate your willingness to give us a proposal and your time today.
Yeah,
Is there
no
any-
worries. I'm happy to be there. And if, again, what Mike had said, I didn't realize that was the case. If it's, I mean, look, if he's got something that's almost done, like, maybe that's the way to go. Not going to hurt our feelings if that's the case. We're happy to help. If there's anything we can do, let us know. And Mike or Jessica, or whoever can reach out and kind of keep us in the loop if it's something you guys are interested in.
Ready to move on?
Meet those people now.
Okay, anybody on Zoom would like to speak to the commission for public comment? Okay, anybody in here wish to speak publicly? Okay. Consent agenda, what's the pleasure?
I'd like to pull the minutes off and vote on each one, please.
Speaking of minutes, where are we with board docs?
You know, I saw John sent an email out this week.
Yeah, I'll have to follow up. I haven't followed up on that email. I'll have to see where we stand on that. I know we've had a couple of get-togethers, so I'll have to follow up and bring that back.
Really, can we just delegate that to ask the clerk to take that responsibility on? And maybe we get somebody.
It's been paid for, has it not?
I mean, let's just get it done. Paul, can you handle that?
I think so.
Can you get with Gary Hamrick, who knows all about it, and roll that out?
What minutes do you, sorry, Patsy, what minutes do you want to pull off, Mr. Hinkle?
All of
Hold on 1 second. Can we do that? Turn that over to the clerk and get him to accept the responsibility? So we get this done, the board docs?
I mean, as long as everybody's okay with that.
I would get with the people that are involved and see where we stand.
Okay.
I would
Well,
suggest
Well, why
that
don't you and John
at
work
this
it out
point.
as soon as possible, how's that?
we can do that.
Okay. Now, let's look at December 23rd, 20, that's the first ones I see, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's all yours.
No, Susan, it's up to you to ask us if we approve these minutes. Changes that need to be done.
Okay. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes for December 23rd, 2020?
I move to approve the minutes as received for December 23rd.
Okay, it's been moved to approve the December 23rd, 2020 minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion carried. Are we on to December 30th, 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I noticed there were a lot of corrections in these minutes.
Who can help him with that? What corrections are you?
Um,
I mean, should this be directed with Mr. Parker? Did he make the?
to
I made the corrections. Anything, as we've discussed previously, the draft minutes are sent electronically. And now that we had the email fixed, those came through. And the double strike throughs in the red is what additions, corrections, suggested modifications that I have made for clarification for the minutes and to the commission. So those come from the administrative staff at the commission office.
Are there any corrections to these?
I'll ask John if he has any issues with corrections Mr. Parker made.
Not any that I noticed. To be honest, I'm still getting the bearings about what the disconnect might be with what we put down as minutes and what he would like as minutes. So I think given more time, I'll get a better idea of what corrections he makes and why, so we can get on the same page, so there aren't so many corrections. And then hopefully, if we can get the board docs thing rolling, from what I understand, that will alleviate all of this. So all the more reason to go that route.
Okay. Move to approve December 30th meetings as presented.
Okay, it's been moved to approve December 30th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, those minutes are approved. Now we move on to January 6th, 2021. Are there any additions or corrections? I mean, any additional additions or corrections to these minutes?
Which ones are you on, Susan?
January 6th is what it says the 13th, but I'm looking at,
6th.
yes, it would be A3. What is the pleasure of the commission on these minutes?
Move to approve.
Okay, it's been moved.
Received.
It's been moved to approve January 6, 2021 as received. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Now we are on to January 13th, 2021 minutes. Are there any additional additions or corrections to these minutes? I just want to say, I would hope that we can come, like John said, the board docs, this has been an issue since I was clerk, and I'd like to see this end. Come to some happy medium. Okay, what's the commission's?
Move to accept December 30th as presented.
How about January 13th?
And January 13th.
It's been moved to approve January 13th, 2021 minutes as presented. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? I believe that is it for the minutes. Okay. That takes care of the minutes of the consent agenda. What's the pleasure on the rest of the consent agenda?
I would just like to note that Eastview submitment of a board meeting and their financial is inadequate, and that we should not accept this as a report to us, and advise staff that these will not be accepted.
So you're noting that, Mr. Orton.
I've got that note made, yes.
So are you okay with moving forward with the consent agenda?
As long as we don't accept this board meeting information. Because it's,
Which one? You said Eastview?
It's terrible, Susan.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
it's
So
just,
do you want to make a motion to that effect, Mr. Hinkle?
yes, ma'am,
Okay.
the Eastview information be removed from the consent agenda and not accepted as presented to this commission.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Payroll change notices, do we have?
No, we do not.
Okay. Exonerations, corrective tickets,
Do not have any.
consolidations of land.
Do not have any.
Keep going, Will, keep going.
Nothing for 6, nothing for 7.
Okay. Okay, number 8. I gotta read all this. Review, discuss, consider adoption by the county commission of a resolution which would authorize the execution and delivery of a replacement bond for the tax increment revenue bonds Series 2016A, Development District Number 4, White Oaks Industrial Park Project Number 1, in order to designate a new owner of the bond as required by the governing documents for the bond issue. Mr. Parker or Mr. Raymond?
I'll defer to Mr. Thomas L. Tommy Amon Jr.
Is this one where you'd like for me to?
If you could.
Okay. Good morning.
Tommy, that mask being upside down is torturing me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You gotta fix it.
There we go.
If mine's ever
That's
upside down, I want
blasphemy
you
in
to
these
tell me.
parts, isn't it?
It's horns down for Texas.
Yeah. Good morning, commissioners. Tom Eamon, Steptoe & Johnson, representing the commission as bond counsel on the White Oaks TIF bonds. So the developer high-tech corridor development for the White Oaks Business Park and Industrial Park approached the commission regarding the ownership of the bonds for the industrial park, which is where the Kia car dealership is on the other side of 79, not where the office park is. They are wanting to transfer ownership of that bond to a trust. Related party transaction. So basically a trust that was created for some of the family members of the current owner of the bond. And in order to do that, the trust indenture for those bonds requires the delivery by the commission of a replacement bond, which simply names the new owner of the bond, which would be the trust. The delivery of an investment letter by the trust to the trustee, which basically indicates that they're an accredited investor and therefore qualified to be an owner of the bond. Those steps have been taken. The assignment document has been executed and delivered to the trustee. And the last step is the delivery of a replacement bond to the trustee, which they would then authenticate and then deliver the replacement bond to the new owner. So what's up for consideration is a resolution of the commission, which would authorize the president to execute and deliver this replacement bond. And it's as simple as that.
Make a motion for the, as stated, and the president's signature on the replacement bond to the new related party for the transfer at no cost to the commission, Tommy.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. I have documents for that I can give to Mr. Parker for execution.
A motion's been made to move forward with this. Do you have any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Review this, number 9, review, consider services of Zimmerman Law Office PLLC related to engagement letter authorized and approved during the January 13th, 2020 meeting. See, Mr. Zimmerman is here. Is there any action to be taken? Or do you want to have any questions?
There was discussion of follow-up with the commission of services. Mr. Zimmerman and I and Ms. Sal met and went over some, preliminary information discussion, items that we're working on right now. And we still need to get him some additional information as it relates to that follow-up discussion. But it's an opportunity for Mr. Zimmerman and the commission just to discuss the relationship and expectations.
Yeah, good morning. Pardon me, Trey Zimmerman with Zimmerman Law. As I told Mr. Parker and Ms. Sell, I'm happy to serve at your all's will and direction. I think you all know we have a wide, variety of experiences doing public work in Harrison County and beyond Harrison County, all for the last approximately 8-year window. We look forward to working with you all, happy to address a variety of issues and happy to defer to experts and specialists like Mr. Amon on certain things like bond talk that we all just heard, because that's not something that every lawyer does in their practice. My practice, it's more general in nature. It involves a large variety of issues, and I think that can certainly add some value to you all and help you move forward as a new commission and as a county, hopefully. Again, I'm open to any questions, thoughts, inquiries. If you all want specific items of experience or comfort, I'm happy to talk about those with you. But I really serve as outhouse, in-house counsel for a number of public entities, and I just tailor each representation to what the client asks of me. There may be issues which you all want to direct to other firms because of history. That's fine. I'm here as a sounding board and to serve as you all direct on specific issues. And I talked to Mr. Parker and Ms. Sell about trying to direct my correspondence to them. That way I'm not billing 3 times, so to speak. I'm communicating through one central actor, or 2 actors, I should say, not through the commissioners directly. Do you all have any specific questions for me?
I do not. Glad to have you aboard. I think it's been a long time coming from somebody.
Thank you.
Right now, we're working on the Harvest Care Medical Extension Options Agreements, whatever you want to call those items, as you know, and other items associated with that. So,
Correct.
Either commissioner have any questions?
I'd just like to get a up-to-date engagement letter.
I think there was an issue with the date on the previous engagement letter. Is that what you're speaking of, Mr. Hinkle?
The date, it's 2020 cost. And I'd like to see it be, have to be renewed on an annual basis.
Can certainly do that. I'll direct that to Mr. Parker.
there's no additional action that the commission needs to take at this time unless there's something else that the commissioner, Mr. Zimmerman, need to take
I have
action.
nothing. I don't think, Mr. Treeboss? Thank you, Trey.
Certainly.
Review, discuss, consider, number 10, review, discuss, consider staff recommendations for AE services related to 609 West Main Street Law Enforcement Building. Do we want to take these one at a time, or can we do them both at the same time?
It's up to the commission. The recommendation will be the same for both locations.
Okay, then the second location is 633 West Pike Street, Law Enforcement Equipment and Evidence Storage, County Storage, former DHHR location. 609 West Main Street, Law Enforcement Building, corner MSES location. Okay, Mr. Parker.
In your agenda, you have a copy of 5G14, which are project cost to be estimated less than $250,000, and what the process is. Just a little bit of background. The commission, during the January 6th meeting, this was a topic of the January 6th meeting, and the commission did not authorize the staff to move forward during that meeting. The January 13th meeting, we were asked for progress on these 2 items, as well as other topics, but as it relates to these 2 items. So there was going to be a special meeting scheduled for the 15th of January. As commissioners know, that did not happen. So it was moved to this meeting, but between the 13th and the 15th, we had phone conversations, interviews scheduled with Thrasher Group, CEC, and WYK, and then also E.L. Robinson Engineering. The committee was myself, Ms. Sell, and Mr. Dale. And based on those discussions, those interviews, it would be the recommendation of the committee to proceed with the Thrasher Group for these items and for agreements and to be drafted for final approval by the commission.
Any questions? What's the pleasure?
Motion to move forward.
With staff's recommendation. Motion has been made to move forward with staff's recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carried.
We will get those agreements and
Thank you, Lord.
for signature.
And 11, review, discuss, consider technology improvements to commission meeting room, including but not limited to additional viewing screen, additional camera, sound amplification. I don't know anything about this.
This was requested to be added to the agenda. We have had calls, input, feedback from the public as well as staff members that are attending via Zoom. It's very difficult to hear the commissioners' discussion at times. So that would be for the sound amplification. I met with Mr. Hayes, Brian Hayes, from the IT staff yesterday. We talked about, possibly adding another screen in this corner. The sound amplification, he thinks, can be accomplished fairly easy. Additional camera back in the back that gives a panoramic view of the commission meeting room so people can see that, as well as continue to use the OWL, which focuses on individuals that are speaking, is how that's supposed to work. Brian can go over, we have some of that, I think, currently available, and Mr. Hayes can review the details or follow-up questions from the commission. But one of the major complaints is being able to hear the commission and during discussion or others in the meeting room.
I'm gonna try to utilize the, on the record that we bought years ago to record the meetings. It takes our mic inputs here on the front, and on your bench, there's 3 or 4 microphones. I think we can make that work within the Zoom meeting. I'm gonna talk to the company that sold us that software, and I've contacted United Sound about that also, see if it doesn't work, what our next option would be for that. So I'm gonna meet with them tomorrow, hopefully. I'm waiting on a phone call back from on the record, but I'm pretty sure that'll work. We haven't been using it in the past, have we, for recording? So it's there and it's available, we might as well use it. We'll have to repurpose it.
I think we got that when that one went.
What's that?
I think we got that when that went belly up, and then we ended up
Yes.
using the handheld recorder.
But it's working, and I don't see no reason why we can't use it to broadcast out through the Zoom meetings.
So it's still a work in progress.
Yes. And I'll check into the camera, one that focuses more on the bench, so people can see.
And is this something we also have already? Or is this something we'll have to purchase?
No, I think we have a camera that will do that.
Screen? Do we need another?
What's that?
Are we gonna have another screen? Or monitor or whatever?
That would be up to you all on that.
I mean, I didn't know if there was one of those laying around too, that's all.
Hey, can you not use the one that's in that office that Greg was in?
We will follow up on
I have it
that.
available
So
here.
is this just basically for information?
For your information, to make sure the commission was okay with us proceeding with Mr. Hayes using what we can in-house and purchasing needed supplies to make this task accomplished.
I mean, I have had the complaints on not being able to hear as well.
I get complaints for hearing and for commissioners not being able to be seen on Zoom. That commissioners are not always being seen or heard on Zoom.
And that would be the one reason for the camera in the back that shoots.
You okay with moving forward?
you know, as long as everything's in-house and it doesn't cost us anything. I don't wanna put a lot of money in this room, knowing we're moving soon.
Hope for the best. I think we've got additional cameras, and I think we've got a couple of TVs that we're not utilizing right now. So if we need to add one of those.
Well, my question is, if we buy any equipment, can it be moved?
I'm sorry?
If we buy any equipment, can it not be moved to the new building?
Yeah. The only thing is, if on the record, equipment does not work, we'll have to buy a microphone. It's USB enabled. And that's a microphone, so it'll pick up everything in the room.
So there's no action really to take on this.
Not if the commission is concurrent in moving forward with in-house
I don't have
and
a
minimal
problem.
expense if
Not-
needed.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize $2,500 if needed to make this, so that we don't have to wait for 2 or 3 meetings to get it accomplished. Not to exceed.
Okay, the motion's been made not to exceed $2,500 to make this happen. Any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? But if you can keep it down, that's the main goal. So that motion carried. Number 12, review, discuss, consider adoption by the county commission and order approving and creating a tax increment financing district in Harrison County to be known as the County Commission of Harrison County Development District Number 7, the Tiff District, approving project plan number 1 for the Tiff District, establishing a tax increment financing fund and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Is that you, Tommy, or?
Would be.
You do have an order in your, go ahead, Mr. Raymond, come on up. Just as he comes forward, you have an order in your packet that was provided by Mr. Amon for consideration. This relates to the North Central Crossroads project.
That's what this is,
The
number 12.
number 12, yes.
Okay, that's what was confusing. I didn't see cross. In here.
So this would be a continuation of prior actions of the commission and prior discussion in this regard. The commission had previously authorized moving forward and with a publication of a notice of public hearing, and also preparing an application and a project plan for this TIF district. The public hearing was held. There was minimal public comment at that point in time. We did have the developer present at that time to discuss the plans with Ron Lane Enterprises, Ron Lane Inc., sorry. Subsequent to that, the project plan and TIF application was submitted to the West Virginia Development Office. They had already been briefed with general discussion about what was anticipated. They had no comments leading up to the submission, and then after it was submitted, had no follow-up. We did receive an approval letter from the executive director of the West Virginia Development Office, giving the county commission authorization to take final action to create the district and approve the plan and create a TIF fund for this new district. It would be number 7, according to how the assessor's office, their methodology that they use in numbering the districts. But this is essentially the other side of Eastview up to the intersection, or nearly to the intersection of 50 and 79, and then following 79 pretty closely then back toward Anmore. The project plan provides for infrastructure work in this TIF district area, both public and private. site development work to create the pad sites that will be needed to attract private businesses and investment. The initial plan would be essentially for the developer, Ron Lane Inc., to purchase these bonds and in essence, finance the initial startup cost of the district themselves, so that they would be assuming the risk of private business locating and creating the increment necessary to repay the bonds as the bondholder. No plan to try to place these bonds with a financial institution or do a public offering or anything of that nature. So minimum level of risk for the county going into this. Very similar approach to the White Oaks Business Park and the way that was done. So this would be the final action. If the commission were to decide to enter this order, it would create this district, again, number 7, approve the project plan for the district, and create the TIF fund. And then we would provide this order to the assessor's office and the sheriff's office so that they can set up the necessary TIF fund and note in the land books going forward the parcels of land in the district that are included. Happy to try to address any questions you guys may have with respect to that.
Move to approve.
It's been moved to approve. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
Number 13, commissioner comments. Mine and the questions going to be the board docs and hopefully they'll get worked out. Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, David.
As of yesterday, we 4,537 people have been given vaccine for COVID. I think we're going to try to do around 800 today and another 500 tomorrow. We're still running high as far as cases to date. It's 3,500. We got 105 new cases in Harrison County, 305 active. So just to let you all know, running around, it's still running rampant in Harrison County. 27 deaths so far in Harrison County. It's a blessing. We've had 3,200 people recover. I know it's not on the agenda, and I want to bring it up as an emergency item if it's all right with my other 2 commissioners, but I would like to appropriate money for more people to answer phone lines. I've been getting complaints that people have called up to 120 times trying to get through to get on the list, and we're handling that out of OEM, and we need to be able to get more people on the phone. And I'd like to put up at least if we can agree to give either $10,000 or $15,000 for your overtime or hire extra people to answer the phone, so we can get more people lined up to take these tests instead of getting the busy. I would like to make that motion. Also, just let the public know that they're calling several different places and trying to get on multiple lists, which is okay. But what happens is nobody knows when they have gotten their shot and they're still sitting on other people's list. So the health department in our case is trying to get in contact with people that have already got a shot, but they don't know. So it would be great if people that have gotten shots that have contacted other places to get on the list would
either email, call, somehow get word back that they are no longer needing that shot would be, make life easier. The hospitals should start giving shots sometime in February out of the mall, but until then, it's still relying on the health department, and they're doing a great job, can do about 800 shots a day if it's available. So anything that we can do to make that simpler, we need to work on that as a county, and this commission needs to work on that. And I think that's it, Susan. I just would like to get that extra money set aside for telephone operators because they're swamped and we're not being able to get to the citizens fast enough.
I mean, I talked to Laura the other day concerning that as well. How many phones? She told me there were only 7 phones.
Well, she
We have
talked with
additional-
Paul, and we now have 10 operational phones, but only 5 or 6 can be answered because we need people.
I understand that. And it's still gonna, I mean, I think communication to the public, because even with 10 phones, people are still gonna be calling and calling and calling to get somebody on the phone. And is it just Harrison County or is it other counties?
Just Harrison County.
Let me ask
I
you,
heard there were other counties that are going out or calling, other citizens from other counties.
Anybody can call anywhere. That's the issue.
But they're
We
getting
have-
on
we
our,
have-
do we not ask the question? I mean, can we ask the question?
I don't think if the part of what they ask is in the information, I don't think we can deny somebody. Because I know our people have been going to Mon County and other counties to get shots.
Because they can't get them here because other people are coming here.
That's just because they got on the list as soon as they call and get on multiple
There should be
lists.
some kind of,
I don't know if Laura's attending via Zoom, if we can ask her to,
Laura, are you here?
No, they're giving shots this morning.
okay,
They've got roughly 800 people on.
okay, she's next door then.
So, no, and they have over 500 tomorrow, I think.
Do they have the vaccines to continue giving the shots?
That's up to
Or
the,
are we just putting people on a list now?
people are being put on the list.
So there aren't vaccines to give?
they're coming in.
They're
every week.
coming in every
I mean,
day.
I'm,
Yeah, they're
I
coming
don't
in
know,
every
that's
week.
why I'm asking. I mean, I'm hearing stuff out,
We're doing 500 today. We're supposed to,
but how many's on the list?
940 right now.
Oh, I think it's growing, it grows as we
Yeah.
speak.
And that's just 80-year-olds.
But it is, any resident of the state can call whatever locations, because they're having regional, multiple locations. I know there's one today in
That's
Gasaway.
something some people don't understand and don't realize, you know, again, if we could communicate that.
Willie, let me ask you something, you know, like the park guys that are downstairs just waiting at the door, because we're just trying to give them something to do. If they have anything to do, can't we send?
We're working with
Jack and
yeah.
Hazel and save the payroll, just
Mr. Book, Mike Book. Jessica's talked to him, and we're redirecting some staff out there, yes.
Yeah.
From the park, as well as some, dispatchers, E911 dispatchers on their days off for overtime. So we're working to get that accomplished, started that yesterday.
the young ladies in planning that are, upstairs looking for something to do. She's a great scanner. I can't imagine she wouldn't be a great call taker.
Yeah, we'll review the staff that,
But if I
If you can take it from within.
yeah.
I'm for that.
That's what we're looking at doing, is part-time from our Parks and Recreation, as well as, overtime for 911 dispatchers or whatever. So yes, we're looking at that as we speak.
But if you, I agree with you 100%. If you
I don't
want to
know.
hire 2 part-time people to work 20 hours a week until further notice, sure. But I think, I admit you guys, I see a lot of people around the courthouse, don't have a whole lot to do sometimes. So, until summertime gets here anyway, when they get busy again.
I mean, if we can fill it from within,
All I motion was to set aside $10,000 or $15,000 to pay a
that's, that was the motion.
I agree with David to use the money. I don't think we need to, though.
Okay, let's try.
If
to
it's
do it.
there-
If we get that, okay.
I mean, Hazel could answer the phone.
If it's not there,
I mean, can you direct some of those calls somewhere else?
no, ma'am.
No, they need to be, the people need to go to the OEM
I mean,
location.
This
Yeah.
is the question I'm
Yeah.
asking. Go ahead.
No, that's,
Just trying to-
Hey, Willie, while we're on that, you know, one of the things that came up that we agreed on was this, these Ford 10s for the COVID testing. Maybe next week have Laura here to tell us, I mean, where are they gonna be? Who's gonna man them? Who's liable? You know, we got a lot of questions with that. And you just can't have anybody stick a shot in somebody's arm and who's hiring these people? Who's gonna, you know, where are these Ford 10s gonna be stored so that they don't disappear?
I think Patsy will still be the health department doing it. We're
Okay.
just trying to, after the semi fiasco at the armory with people waiting and the wheelchair issue, I think they think that if they can bring people through and keep them in their cars and handle it, then they'll just.
Is it okay with you, David, if Laura comes and fills us in on the requisition sheet right now?
Yeah.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor to set aside, you say up to $10,000
Yes, ma'am.
to help answer the phones and try to do it from within before we go that route. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Anything else there?
No, ma'am.
Patsy?
Yeah, a couple of things real quick. Is the sheriff on the call? Sheriff, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, Sheriff, it's Patsy. Hey, a couple things real quick. One, I want to let you know that I got a phone call from Chief Jack Moore, and that car that we donated to him is about shot. So between you and corrections, if you guys get a car that he could use later, I'm all for that. You know, we gave him a car with almost 200,000 miles that he bled out for another year. And the other thing I wanted to ask you to do for me going into budget time is, can you in your budget let us know how many vehicles you're going to need? And the reason for that is then by August, maybe we can get with our Harrison County people and see if we can get a car purchased off of, you know, somebody, Cava, Green, Wood, anybody that owns a car dealership in Harrison County. That way we don't have, it doesn't pop up on us. Just put in the budget, you need 5, 10, 15 cruisers, van, whatever you need.
Okay, yes, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, right now we don't have anything surplus to help out. You know, that was a nice vehicle. I'm not sure, you know, if they did proper maintenance or whatever, you know, but we gave a lot out to a lot of different agencies and they all took pretty good care of theirs and they're still up and running. So I'm not sure what the situation is with that that particular donation, but certainly, you know, when we have surplus, we definitely always keep the volunteer fire departments in mind.
Listen, thank you for that. Thank you so much. Hey, Willie, can you please do me a favor and get Mr. Zimmerman, the Aia contract, the bonds, and the ceiling contract so that he can then review all that? So that way he has that, so he can begin becoming part of this. And then the only thing I have, and you know, I don't want to put you on the spot, it's your first day. We do have the question when it comes to boards and commissions. We voted a few weeks ago on the new boards and commissions. I don't know if it can start immediately or if there's a term limit on it, how the terms work. If you don't have the answer to that, can you review and let us know now that we've already voted on it? Does it become effective immediately or do we have to live out the term? If there was a term, could it change on a weekly basis if we wanted it to as a commission? I don't know.
Yeah, and I can get you an opinion. It's going to depend upon the enabling statutes for each board or authority, i.e. there's a different code for example, Development Authority versus say Centra, Urban Mass Transportation Authority versus say an airport authority. So do you want me to do it by boards specifically?
Well, quite frankly, you just got a lot busier. You really need to be able to inform us on all of them. Right now, we're looking for the Economic Development Board.
Okay.
And,
That's
and-
much-
and
much
the-
more-
and the person that runs that is Amy Wilson.
Okay.
And Willie can get you her contact information too if you need that, so you can get a copy of those bylaws from her.
Yes, I know Ms. Wilson, and I'll, it's not gonna be the bylaws, it's actually gonna be the enabling legislation for the creation of the
Thank you.
entity. And I'll just go into that, shoot Mr. Parker, basically just a one-page summary.
Okay, and then the only other thing I have question for you, Willie. This here item number 10 on 609 West Main Street, the law enforcement building,
Yes,
had we had an in-house civil engineer, could we have not done that in-house?
I don't know if civil engineer would have had those capabilities.
A civil engineer wouldn't know how to do a redesign a building?
May not.
Okay.
It depends on whether they have mechanical, whether they have mechanical engineering experience, structural engineering experience, or certifications in all those areas. A civil engineer usually is, site work, site preparation, site work, elevations.
When I get to you, my experience with a civil engineer, that's exactly what he went to school to do. So we're seeing this differently. And then let me.
Depends on what their background is, and they may have other specialties, but, a civil engineer is not necessarily a structural engineer.
Okay. And then let me,
Right.
and then let me ask you this, and David, Susan, chime in on this. We have this $400,000 loan right now, and everybody knows I don't want to exceed it. But could we then use that money if we had to put some of it in the other building? I realize the other building's turnkey, but at the same time, could we use that money to get a coat of paint on and fix the block in the back that's crumbling?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. The only thing that loan is tied to is the collateral, is that building for that loan.
Yeah, David, please chime in, Susan, on your opinion on trying to get both buildings in decent shape through that money without exceeding it.
I'm with you. Least amount we can spend is.
But I mean, do you guys agree the other building needs a nice paint job? And
Spray painting, got paint over.
And then part of that,
It'll
don't
probably
forget,
happen again, though, that's the issue.
we gotta know how much weight that'll hold, because what we're looking at here is storage for that building, because we already have the shelves. Have you begun to move the shelves over?
Now, we haven't done anything until we get the engineering report, which we approved today, so we'll get Thrasher Group started on that after we get an agreement.
That's at 633.
Yes, they're doing 633 West Pike and 609 West Main Street. Thrasher Group will be reviewing both of those buildings, mechanicals, electrical, structural, etc.
Okay, did we get the new window ordered for upstairs on the 6th floor?
I've got the agreement from City Windows, because the court has to approve that through our legal counsel. So it's not the new window, it's moving windows is what it is.
Okay.
They're swapping out one.
Yes, yes. So
Okay,
it's,
Can you give me a just a cliff notes on what Judge Bedell said about the space at the upstairs on the 6th floor?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You and Judge Bedell's conversation concerning space on the 6th floor?
I didn't follow up with the court system yet on the 6th floor. Didn't realize I was supposed to.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We have a pending court case that we're each being charged $50 a day. meaning-
Oh, you're talking about that office.
I need you to get with Judge Bedell, please, this week and report back to us next week on how much space that he needs and keep us up to date on the window so we can get this.
I'm gonna say I'm confused.
Judge
Maybe I'm confused.
Matish is handling the probation.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought.
Okay, that's what-
Chief Judge.
Now, the chief judge did change, but during that change, the order specifically pointed Judge Matish as still responsible for
I
the
understand.
probation.
Thank you, David.
So I'll follow up. I will get that to legal counsel to the court via legal counsel, and then to see, because they have to sign off on that based on the order they issued.
Can you get from City Window a ballpark idea when we can change this window out? and let us know?
$6,500 if I remember the
No, I'm talking
estimate.
about the cost. I mean, yes, I wanted.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's important that gets done as fast as possible.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that.
That's all I have.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, well, it's 11:10. We have meeting at 11 o'clock. all the parties here for the 11 o'clock?
We do have the parties, some are here, some are attending via Zoom. I don't know if they can unmute themselves. Yeah, we're okay. Check that again. Okay.
Chris, you got approved. I said we approved your paperwork. I don't know if you knew that. We have Mr. Raymond here from Steptoe & Johnson as bond counsel. Sealing and Associates, of course, is the A&E firm. Mike Moore is here, as well as I do believe we have some individuals attending via Zoom from Sealing. Glenn Savage and Jody Driggs, I do believe, are to be on the call via Zoom. And the general contractor, Rycon, Tom Hack is here, and I don't know who else you have with you, Tom.
Alan Hopperstead.
Oh, there, okay, sorry.
Matt Howlands, Denny James, who's on site, and Kim Cluckley, who's our engineer.
If you can give those names again where we can possibly hear them.
Okay, sorry about that. Alan Hopperstead is our senior project manager. Matt Highland is our project manager. Denny James is our on-site superintendent.
Do you represent Rycon, sir?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, Tom Hack.
Hackey,
H-A-C-K.
And Kim Cluckley is our project engineer.
Thank you.
And Willie, Tom Potts, president of Silling, is also involved too.
Okay. In Zoom? Okay.
Yes.
Tom and Jody and Glenn, can you hear us?
I can hear.
Okay. The commission requested this item be brought to the agenda of the General Service Annex Project Review. I passed out, I haven't had a chance really to look at this, but you have this is from Rycon, the general contractor, basic construction outline for the project.
Well, basically what I was looking for was just to be, I'm new. And all I know about this building is what I learned sitting in that chair as the county clerk. This is very helpful to kind of tell me what's been going on. But if you all, or if the other commissioners have any questions or concerns, that's why we're here. So, I don't know. You all want to speak, or if the commissioners want to ask questions?
I have no questions.
Give us an update on how it's going so far with the moving of the dirt and how everything's working out.
Sure. So as an update, we have started into our bulk excavation of the site. We're approximately 60% complete with the bulk excavation on the project. We're also working on some site utility work at the moment. We are working on the storm sanitary line that runs from 2nd Avenue up Modoc, and we'll be turning down 3rd Avenue. So that new storm sanitary line work is currently in progress. Once that work gets completed, there is a storm sanitary line that actually runs under the existing building or under the building footprint that will need to be removed. So that work is going to be occurring once we get our new storm sanitary line installed. As far as schedule, in the next few weeks, we're expecting to have our concrete subcontractor mobilized to the site. We will begin starting the foundation excavation and working on the concrete foundation work. Subsequent to that, structural steel will be following currently scheduled for the end of March. Right now, we have submitted the shop drawings to the design team for their review and approval. Once we get through the approval process, we'll get into the fabrication of the steel and ultimately, in the late March, early April timeframe, begin to erect structural steel. From there, we'll be working to enclose the building. We also have a significant amount of site utility work that we need to complete. There's an primary electrical duct bank that runs down 3rd Avenue. The secondary duct bank runs across Washington. So that's, some other work that will be going on concurrently while we're working on the site. Again, as I mentioned, building enclosure will be the next step. And once we start to get the building enclosed, we'll start working on our, drywall, interior walls, interior partitions, ultimately in the finishes. But, at the moment, the focus obviously is on the site work and keeping things moving and working to maintain our schedule.
No concerns right now?
No, we've had Thrasher and CEC evaluate the existing soils, and they've come back. There's some areas where there is some unsuitable material that when tested didn't reach proper compaction. So those areas have been identified, and we're going to be working to over excavate and replace the unsuitable material. So
What do you replace that with?
Engineered fill. So they'll replace it with the engineered fill material. They'll compact it to achieve the required compaction that we need for the concrete foundations and steel work.
Here I go again. I'm new to this. Is this not something that should have been found earlier?
As part of that, part of the design of the building and ceiling, and their representatives can speak to that in more detail. But based on the core borings that was performed, this was an expectation or a possibility. So included in Raton's basic contract is a number for over excavation for this very purpose. I don't have that square yards or cubic yards or whatever.
There's an allowance in our contract, $61,000 for 1,000 cubic yards.
Do you think we're within that, or we go over that?
Currently, we're within it, but as
there could be some more you find later.
Yes.
This is Glenn from Silling. We did anticipate roughly 1,000 yards, and if it goes over, at bid time we had unit prices in the bid, so we don't have to negotiate that after the bid. So there are unit prices if we go over, and those same unit prices apply if we go under. You get a credit back. So we were aware of soft soils, and we did our best to quantify without knowing what was under there. We had the core borings to use, but we did our best to quantify how many yards we anticipated, and then the over under takes care of anything that exceeds or comes in under our cubic yardage.
But there shouldn't be any additionals, what you're saying, additional fees or.
There won't be any additional fees if it stays within the 61,000. If it goes over, there's a unit price already established in the contract.
That is in addition to.
That's in addition to the base
I
bid,
just want to make
yes.
sure I understand.
Yes.
I'm learning, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience.
And then along with, will anything else have to have changed then with the foundation then?
At the moment, no, but however, as we get into construction, if we find, material, we'll have to over excavate. But at the moment, no, we're proceeding based on the design with our concrete foundations.
Let me ask you, Willie, on our last pay application for the construction phase services, you're at about 6.6% of the 330,000. Where are you at with that now?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
We have allocated $330,000 for the construction phase. That includes the 40 visits from Charleston and et cetera.
Oh, you're talking ceilings contract?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I had Rycon on my.
Okay.
To my knowledge, I don't think any additional payments have been made or any additional invoices received from ceiling at this point. So we're approximately at the same plus or minus 300 and some $1,000 remaining in that contract. Probably a little over.
That's what you said, because you actually, I appreciate it. You're still running the job meetings.
Yes.
Remember, we talked about that. We're trying to get you off the hook for that.
Yeah, Thrasher may be on the call too. I should have indicated that. Thrasher is attending those meetings. They attended the last meeting. The actual running of the meeting is the general contractor. The general contractor under the contract is responsible for the project progress meetings. And then the other parties attend. They are the ones that
So
are.
Rycon's in charge.
Rycon is the responsible party for those progress project meetings. And then, representatives from the engineering firm, representatives from the owner, which includes Thrasher at this point, attend and provide input to those. But the project meetings themselves are the responsibility for scheduling, minutes, follow-up is the general contractor.
Let me ask you this. We had talked about it earlier that we wanted, help me with this, Willie. Is it work of the clerk or clerk of the works?
Yes, and right now Thrasher is filling that function for the third-party testing as it relates to what we looked at as the soils, which is what we're doing now. Soils, structural steel, and concrete.
But they're not actually a clerk of the works, they're just doing the testing. Is that correct?
They're on-site inspections as it relates to those functions. Now, once we get outside of that area, we'll have to extend that or modify their scope of work.
Can we just go ahead and put them as part of the construction-based service, where Ceiling continues to do the submittals and the RFIs, and of course, the design responsibility is Ceilings, but Thrasher then becomes, in the middle here, so that they're the branch that works with Rycon, the branch that works with the commission, the branch that works with Ceiling, and the branch that works with the rest of the entity.
The clerk of the works reports to the owner. They do not tell the general contractor what to do. That would fall under the Ceiling Associates. Otherwise, you've let Ceiling Associates out of their contract for any liability as it relates to the final product. If someone else tells the general contractor what to do on the design by Ceiling Associates, whether it be the owner, clerk of the works, John Q. Public, then Ceiling would come back, if I was them, and say, we didn't tell them to do that. Somebody else did. It's not our responsibility if things went bad.
So what you're saying is, even if Ceiling's still in charge of the submittals, the RFIs, then Thrasher couldn't be on site 2, 3, 4 days a week until this baby's out of the ground to watch things, and then,
No, you can have Thrasher on site.
They can't tell them.
They just don't direct what they report back to the owner.
Can that money come out of the construction phase so that we don't have extra expense?
I think it would be a bond. Mr. Aim could correct me, but it would be my opinion, that would be an eligible bond expenditure.
Yes, it just depends on whether that would then cause the
The-
budget for that item to be exceeded
Yeah.
at that point if you're adding another set of fees.
Yeah, you have a set amount. And now, once you get to that number,
Bonds, you have so much.
yes, once you get that number, then it's outside of that. But I don't foresee that being an issue at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I do think somebody on site, checking to see what's going on, and it makes sense that Thrasher be there, being that they're doing the materials and the special inspections now.
And when we had that discussion, Commissioner Treecost, that was the intent. But for apples to apples comparison from Thrasher, CEC, Triad, and other firms, we looked at what we had for the third party testing, which we knew initially would be soil, structural steel, and concrete being the three immediate areas before buildings enclosing.
And let me ask you something. Who would, gentlemen, and you coach me, say right now we're having a situation with the soil and it does get worse and the weight of the building's too much. If we were to whack off the third floor, could you give us a quick and dirty and tell us how much that would save us? Or would that be ceiling that tells us, or what it would be to take off a third floor and how much savings that could be to the taxpayer? Because remember, the biggest problem we have in our old annex right now is apparently it was built on bad soil and that it is cracking, and that's the problem that we have. So the last thing I want to do is revisit this long after I'm gone in a black and white picture that we have this same problem over there. So could you get back to us next week, or Ceiling, work with Ceiling and work with Thrash or whoever, and give us an idea to take the third floor off? Would that save us $100,000? Would it save us $4 million? Because we're too far in the basement to think about eliminating that. So you see what I'm saying? Because it's the one part of the building, half of it's not even designed for anything, and it's just the commission office.
One of the concerns I have is we're proceeding, moving forward with mechanical equipment. That equipment is designed for the current size of the building. Yes, we can.
I mean, you're only at the sewer right now, so I mean, what I'm saying is that if the changes were $500,000, but it saved us $5 million, we got to think about that, because the last thing we wanted, and we do know we have a water issue in downtown Clarksburg in most buildings that are here, and I know you're putting the floor so it floats with the grinder and all that stuff. I've studied a little bit. I don't understand what I'm studying, and I'm not going to pretend I do, but I also understand that if we can modify things and save a bunch of money, I'd like to do that. And also, the last thing I want to do is on the same soil that's across the street right now, which has caused the problem, that it's not a problem long after the three of us and, everybody in this room is long gone.
Is there a civil engineer in here today?
No, we don't have one.
I'm just asking if any of them are.
But if you could get back to me.
I don't know if anybody via Zoom is a civil engineer or not.
I just want to know a ballpark, just ballpark, man.
Okay.
So, are we being billed for this?
For,
What?
if you're looking for like a very detailed estimate, I mean, I'm gonna have to spend some time with my pre-construction team, which would result in a cost. If you're looking for a quick
and dirty,
quick square foot, hey, this is what we think it is, we wouldn't spend a significant amount of time. So I guess what I'm telling you is if you depending on the amount of detail that you're requesting.
My question to you all then is, why can't we build a foundation that supports 3 floors? You are.
You are.
We are.
Okay. And no matter what you find in the ground, as I understand foundations, it's just like any building that you build. Yes or no? I mean, they just built a grade school over in Bridgeport, and they didn't dig any of quicksand up. They floated it on 8-foot footers. So I guess that's my question is, when do you say that a building can't be placed over there because due to weight?
That's not our call. That's,
Yeah,
that's
we
your
that's the
engineer,
designer.
designers that tells us that.
Tom and Jenny, did you hear that?
I'm sorry. I heard most of it. This is Tom Potts. The building was designed with a thorough geotechnical report, and the foundations were designed according. I'm sorry, I'm hearing myself talk, so it's kind of difficult here. So I'm not sure that I addressed the question there.
Tom, this is Glenn. I'll step in. I think what they're wanting clarification on is the soils that we have found appear soft in some areas. The soil borings showed that from CEC. We design structurally for the building we're building, which is the 3-story building. So we know all the loads of the building. They in turn are given to the geotechnical and the structural, and the foundations are spread footings, which would in turn be plenty to support the building as designed. So 2 weeks ago, we had CEC come because there was a concern that when they were at basement elevation, that there were some soft soils. We knew there were soft soils, so Co Eschen from CEC, he did the report, the original soils report, and his findings from, it was either last Monday or Monday before, that his findings were very much in line with his borings, and he didn't see a need for any changes. So I think that what the commission might be asking Silling us is, are we comfortable that the building's designed for 3 stories and supports the weight based on the soil conditions over there? And I think the answer to that is yes.
That's the way I understood the question, Glenn. This is Willie. Yes, that's the way I understood the question or the discussion.
Okay. Yeah, that got.
And absolutely, we wouldn't have signed the documents and issued it for bid if we didn't think that it was appropriate.
And just as a follow-up, Commissioner Thomas, if, even worse, past the worst case scenario that we're thinking of, then the footer design could be, if we ran into additional soil issues, then the footer design would be reevaluated if it needed changed, beefed up, or whatever the case may be. Okay, that costs this, or you can remove the 3rd floor and that costs this. But, I think Mr. Hackey mentioned, the design and the subcontractors and the mechanical and the electrical and the structural steel, and the elevators and the shafts, all that's being ordered, approved as we speak, or already done for a 3-story building. So there will be, if you just don't eliminate a 3rd story and save money, you have to redesign, you have to reallocate. So, if that happened, there's cost associated with a reduction.
But would there be I'm just asking, would there be a reduction? Or all the cost it would take to redesign and do whatever you need to do? Would that be the same outcome as it would to do a 3-story building?
I think in layman's term and very common sense, what I and Susan are asking if you $100,000 it saved us $4 million, would it be worth it? And without you going extensively, can you ballpark this?
I'm gonna have to look at it.
Just look at it. Just look at it. You're a professional. You've done this before. You know what the cost of the 3rd floor costs. Let me know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, if you're going to include the cost that it would cost us to cancel that 3rd floor.
Yeah, let us know.
So.
Right, but where does that come out? That's,
You'll get a
Right,
negative,
right.
a positive.
A rough
exactly.
estimate.
And that
And is
would
it
be-
going to still end up at the same? That's my question.
We need some direction from Sillings.
Right, we're gonna have to work closely
We
with
can
the
work with
design
Sillings to
team.
let us know what they want us to keep and not keep, so to speak. Give us some direction, but you have already ordered the steel. Yes. So my question is this a workout that's never gonna be able to be applied if you've already started ordering all this stuff? How are you gonna return steel built for this building and the rest of the equipment you bought?
I mean, that's something we would evaluate. And again, let you know the status of the orders and what can be done.
I guess I'm trying to understand where the other 2 commissioners are coming from at this point, to take a floor off a building when it's already to this point, where the savings is.
We don't know, Dave. I'm asking the
I'm
question.
just asking the question.
Yeah, we'll be happy to evaluate that for the commission, but I'll just say it's a much more significant effort than what you guys were thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be Ceiling Associates. And
Absolutely, we
yeah,
know that.
yeah, it's a matter,
I don't expect it, we don't.
Yeah.
No, I want, when you say cost, are you saying give us the answer or if we decide to take the floor off?
To take the floor off. We'll go and evaluate.
And how long roughly do you think that would delay the project?
Tom, Jody, if we were to redesign with a third floor removed, how would that impact the schedule of the project?
Yeah, Mike, this is Jody. I don't know if Tom may be having some phone connection issues. I don't know that I could answer that now. I think we can get back to the commission with an answer. I think we need to work closely with RICON to understand kind of where they are in the submittal process, knowing how far sort of backwards we need to go, so to speak. What issues or systems kind of have to be redone. So even understanding the design schedule delay is a very complex question that we'll have to give some serious thought to.
Jody, so what you're saying is you couldn't take a look at this week while you continue to build a basement that's being built?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I missed part of that. You were saying, can we look at it this week?
What I'm saying is you guys can't just, like I told the gentleman from Rycon, just give us a ballpark number, just take a look and see what the third floor costs right now. And I agree with Commissioner Hinkle 100%. I know that steel's been ordered, but you know, we care if the steel that's been ordered supports 2 stories or 3. Just looking at cost savings, that's all.
Yeah. I thought the question was, can we estimate what the impact of the schedule is? So, you know, that's a matter of architectural, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, engineering team trying to estimate how long it would take us to redesign and provide, concrete and well-coordinated construction documents for a 2-story building that builds on sort of the foundation that we design that we have now. So is that going to take us 1 month, 2 months, 2 weeks? It's certainly not 2 weeks. I don't know exactly what the duration of redesign is, but I would say it could be a considerable amount of time.
one thing, this is Willie, Jody. Commissioner Treecost, I don't know if you heard, he's not expecting a delay in the work. That is what I heard, is to continue to work. Of course, with the submittal process being, because I get copied on all the submittals. I know there's a number of them that have been approved or in progress, and items have been placed for a 3-story building. To remove a floor is considerable delay in the project. We're looking probably, if we did that, and the longer you do that, the more the costs go up, the longer that takes as we go forward, because of changes to systems and contracts that are in place. We have a contract with Rycon in place for X number of dollars for an X number of design. We have, of course, your contract in place, but and then Rycon has contracts in place with their subs that have whatever stage they're in. So a month and a half to 2 month delay is significant cost, and if you continue to work during that time period, that cost then the cost savings diminishes greatly, if there's any cost savings to begin with, as well as we haven't hit the redesign, and Mr. Amon and I talked briefly about this. The bond council, or the bonds, have been sold for an X project, 3-story project that collateralizes their the bonds. If you've got the bonds spent X number of dollars, and the final project doesn't cover the collateral, then that's an issue with the bondholders. The bondholders have to agree to any redesign, as I understand our discussion with Mr. Raymond.
If there's going to be a substantial or potentially a substantial reduction in what the ultimate value of the GSA building would be when completed, we would need to get the bondholders to consent to that because it's impacting their collateral at that point. And that may involve, it could, so there would be solutions to that, but that would be something that we'd have to explore. I also think, Willie, from the discussion, I think the commissioners would benefit from getting some level of understanding of, you know, there's going to be cost involved in selling, getting the information together that Rycon needs in order to provide the information to Commissioner Treecost that he's looking for, and a ballpark on that cost would probably be something they'd want to understand in making that decision and going down that path
Before we proceeded.
before you proceed.
Yeah, and I'm sure Ceiling's probably not prepared to answer that today. I wouldn't think.
No, we'd have some work to do.
Yeah.
So Commissioner Treecost, are you asking here a week from now, could Ceiling and Rycon give you an opinion on the feasibility of a redesign? Is that what you're asking?
You know, I guess I know your job's difficult, and I'm not gonna pretend that I understand, because I don't. I'm simply asking if you took the third floor off, would it save us any money?
Yeah, well, that's not an answer on the spot. We need to get back and run the numbers, and look at what would have to be done from a scope of work standpoint, from a design standpoint, architecturally, all your engineering systems, impact on the construction contract. My gut says no, but if you'd like us to look into that and evaluate it, provide you with some more concrete justification of that, we'd be glad to.
Maybe I simplified it too much in my own head. I just wanted to know what it would save us. And what you're telling
Sure.
me is with the contract that Ron and David signed with Ceiling and Rycon, really, there's not a whole lot anybody can do about this now anyway.
Well, it's not.
We'll let it go.
It's not just
Yeah,
that.
let's let it go.
Okay.
I guess my question back to Mr. Zimmerman and to Willie, if we were to do this, one, I don't know if it's considered a change order in the amount of money you're speaking. So we have to go back out to rebid, because we could have opened up the ability for other companies to bid on the project that didn't have the bonding ability of 15 million and now have bonding ability.
So it's an AIA contract, right?
Yes.
That's about all I know at this point. But an AIA contract is designed to basically try to keep the lawyers out of the picture. It's designed to put the architect in the role as the central renegotiator, reworker of any arrangement, change order. There's also usually a change in directive of work provision within an AIA agreement. And that's really what you'd be looking at here. But each agreement is different. An AIA contract has standard terms and conditions in the first section, then it has supplemental terms, then they often have state-specific terms, which may or may not incorporate the bid documents within the contract or series of contracts, essentially, itself.
We have all those.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to, I figured you probably did, but I'm gonna have to take a look at that stuff, is what I'm saying. I can't sit here and just give you, but generally, the architect's role is to look at these issues, try to work them out between the owner and the contractor, and to try to keep legal out of the picture so you get a completed project, because lawyers can be deal breakers or deal makers, right? And in this situation, it's designed so the architect does that. I can't sit here and give you an opinion one way or the other. I mean, if it incorporates the bid documents, I mean, that would kind of be where you'd start step one and look at the cost, the unit cost. For example, y'all talked about compaction today and film, didn't really get into lifts and that kind of stuff, but that's where you'd start and build it back up. But they can certainly do that. But there should be an upfront cost that you're gonna have to pay for that opinion, but that's their job within the contract, generally.
Yeah, this, for Ceiling Associates, it depends on what the commission, how you want to proceed. It's like Mr. Heyman suggested, if you want to proceed, there'll be cost involved from Ceiling Associates for a redesign that's outside of their contract. Because we're redesigning the building at this point after the design was approved. So before, I think Mr. Amon's correct, before we would proceed down that road, I think we need to know at least an estimate of what that would be. As it relates to Commissioner Hinkle's, I think we could probably change our contract, but that's not going to say XYZ construction company, hey, I would have bid on the project if it was going to be 2 floors because it's, pick a number, 12 million now instead of 15 million, 16 million, and I have bonding for 12 million, but I didn't have bonding for 15 million. Not saying they would prevail in that suit, but you may get that suit. And then there's the contract with Rycon,
Probably allows for deletions and change in directive of work, which is really what we're talking about.
yeah.
But then it's,
We've got a contract for an X project, so, so there's more to that. The first thing is, if the commission wants to proceed down that route, is there will be a cost associated with Ceiling and Associates of just starting down that road.
So what you're saying, Willie, is what we need to do is go ahead and decide if we want to pay Ceiling to give us a decision or a number.
Yes, and I don't know what that cost would be at this point.
Can you tell us next meeting how much it would cost us for you to tell us the number?
For a redesign, an estimated design fee to redesign this building as a 2-story versus a 3? Yeah.
I mean, just give us a number and charge us for giving us the number if you want to. If that's okay with the other 2 commissioners.
I guess the only issue I see with what he asked you to do is, if we're taking the 3rd floor off and you're going to do a redesign, how do you determine what's on the other 2 floors?
Don't change a thing, just take the 3rd floor off. It's
seems to me-
100% the same.
There's no more
It seems to me
voters,
that
no more
Rycon may
county
have to
commission.
stop.
Just leave it 100% the same. That's all I'm asking you to do. I want to know a price, so a decision can be made by the 3 of us. All I'm asking for. Take it off.
Yeah. Tom and Jody, did you get that? Speak for you guys.
Yeah, there's a possibility to change the layout of the building.
I don't want
On,
to change any layout, Willie.
on the 3rd floor,
Whack it.
okay. You have voters on the 3rd floor, so we're not moving voters then at that point.
Cut the 3rd floor.
Okay,
and let
bookkeeping's
the
not moving,
rest
voters not
stay.
moving, commission's not moving.
That's all I'm asking. That's all I want you to do.
Now,
You tell me it'll cost us $100,000 or $1 million to pay you to give us that number. Can you do that?
Okay.
Thanks.
and I guess, can I chime in also, just feasibility, repurposing, what that's gonna look like, what's already there. I mean, is it even feasible?
That's what I'm saying. Is it-
Oh, yeah.
That'd be part of it.
Yeah, is it feasible?
Willie, one thing you may want to address here is, while Ceiling is putting together a cost estimate for redesign as to whether, it seems to me, as Rycon continues, they could be digging, they could be creating additional costs that the county then has to figure out how to back away from. So does Rycon have to stop what they're doing? Well,
Absolutely not, Tom.
Okay.
You guys don't stop a thing you're doing. Ceiling doesn't stop a thing they're doing. I need a number right now from Ceiling. It may cost us $10,000 by next week for them to tell me how much it's gonna cost us to take the 3rd floor off. And if the commissioner's willing to do that, I'm willing to. If you 2 aren't, I'm okay with it. I really am. I don't know how much it takes to take a top level off. Put a roof on the 2nd floor instead of the 3rd floor. Don't change a thing.
I don't know how you do that without knowing what goes on 2 floors, but good luck. Because it's a redesign on the interior.
Yeah, it's more impactful than maybe what it
I
would seem,
understand.
but we'll estimate what a design effort would be to make the wholesale changes and present that to the commission.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The the other factor here is if he's considering not moving community corrections into that building, then that affects back to bond council.
Yeah, because the bonds were so estimating 70 or 75,000 a year over the life of the bond sale of income associated with that. That's one of the parameters in preliminary review of the bond sale. So let's assume, just for assumption, okay, we get a number, everybody's on board, okay, but I don't want to redesign, but it still may not be feasible, as Mr. Simmerman said at this point, based on what's happened so far, as well as bringing in the bond related matters. So
I don't know that that income stream was something that was really.
It wasn't significant.
I don't know that it was necessarily something that was disclosed to the bondholders.
Okay, I knew it was.
Purchasers either. It was part of Cruz's underwriting effort in determining whether the county had the credit worthiness to move forward with
financial
financing.
Feasibility of the project.
Right.
Yes, it was part of their opinion.
It was part of their analysis,
Yes.
certainly.
Anything else?
Thank you guys so much. It's nice to meet all of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Does the commission want to proceed and have Ceiling get that number?
Can you give us that number for $10,000 of work this week? Because we can tie that into the bond.
Don't know if that would be a redesign of the project, would not be, my opinion, would not be a bond eligible expense.
Ooh, that gets in.
That would be my quick opinion.
If it's changing the scope of the project and going in a different direction potentially and affecting the collateral of the bondholders, we probably ought to stay away from that.
Okay.
Just to be prudent.
I think that would be the best course of action. If there's cost involved to get to next week and future cost, I don't think any of that cost will be covered by the bonds, my opinion.
Cost of redesign is probably something that's not authorized right now by the bondholders.
But Tommy, like for example, I'm gonna say it again, corrections is on the first floor. You'd still have that money coming in. Ballpark number to take the third floor off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
There's how much redesign is there?
Are you looking for something specific or just a ballpark figure?
I mean,
No, I'm just
what's
saying.
it gonna cost us to build the third floor, guys? $4 million in material or $2 million? I don't know. That's all I'm asking. I understand you got a labor cost. I understand all this. I mean, if you take out one set of windows, those sets of blocks, put the roof on the second floor instead of the third floor, we don't buy hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of furniture and carpet and flooring and wiring, and that's all I'm asking. And I know I'm making it sound simple, but I have to. I'm working with common sense. I'm not a civil engineer, but I hate when you do that.
Well, that's not a civil engineer issue.
But I hate when you laugh at me. I hate it, you do it a lot.
I guess I can't help it, that.
I know you can't. That's why I let it go.
Good. If you don't want to, let me know.
I don't.
Good. I think this has been another farce.
But it is, yes. And if you can do it, if you can't do it, it's okay. I've said that. Just ballpark that.
Why didn't we do this 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago, when you were behind this building? I can show you in the minutes where you were behind this a year ago.
Okay, are we gonna move forward with Mr. Treecroft's request? That's the question at hand.
What's Mr. Treecroft's request?
To find out what it would cost to take off the third floor, am I correct?
Yeah, please.
I mean, but we don't want to, I don't think he wants to spend a lot of money to find that out.
No, I don't. And if we do have to spend a lot of money, let it go, guys.
I think you have to be careful, Willie, with the scope of the question here. This is
Yes.
really important.
Yeah,
This is a bad thing that you guys are trying to do.
Don't say you guys. Stop it,
It's me,
David.
it's me.
I mean, come
It's me.
on, come on. I just want to learn. I'm here to learn.
I think we
You
need
know,
to,
would we save money by taking it dirt? I'm not saying that's what I want to do. You know how I feel about the building to begin with. But you rushed it through before I got here, so here we are. That's why we're here.
I think you're on a lot of meetings with the architects to design yours and demanded certain square footage.
David, stop it. Okay, let's stop this right now and let's take it head.
Guys,
what we're doing.
listen, thank you for coming. Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
As long as we understand, they're not authorized to do anything.
that would be correct.
Not authorized to do anything, guys.
All right.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. I
Thank
mean,
you
it
very
was
much.
really beneficial to me. I appreciate it. And I would like to hear something every now and then to find out where you're at. run
We
into
will.
problems, or-
Absolutely.
We will do that.
Yeah, happy to.
You had to sit there.
Thank you.
And the
Did we
meeting.
adjourn?
I know.
We're adjourned.
David.
Okay.
I have some signatures I need